Good evening. It is I, the Bleach Demon. Oh, hey, Ardent Party. Good to see that you're here in chat. See if anybody else drifts in. So, we shall see how things go in Wyoming and Alaska. The polls have just closed about a half hour ago in Wyoming. And we're going to see how things go there. And how much endurance I have to cover various things. So, we shall get into the current Washington Post results. I've got a few others, but it's kind of nice to see some of this updated in real time. And while they're weasels at WAPO, at least it's something useful. So we'll take a look at the governor primary. So we have Mark Gordon, incumbent, with 71%, and only 3% of the votes have been counted, which I'm going to assume is in Cheyenne, which is down here in the corner of the state. Or, oh, no, actually, it's Natrona County. And with the Democrat primary for governor, we also have Teresa Livingston, also Natrona County, the at-large district. So, since Wyoming's population is fairly small, they only have one member of the U.S. House, and that's, I think, really the more interesting campaign that's going on right now. So we have currently Harriet Hageman, 53%, Liz Cheney at 44%. You see why I beat a 1. Welcome. Yeah, I'm kind of doing this as a dry run for November, seeing how things go here. Democrat Party, Lynette Graybull, who I believe is of the Shoshone Nation, or maybe she's Wind River Shoshone. I can never remember all the tribes out there. She's got 59.2, and again, this is all Natrona County, one of the more populated counties, that and Laramie County and Albany counties. So I thought, for if nothing else, shits and giggles, we'll take a look at what the issues that Miss Piggy is promoting. Claiming to be working for Wyoming, although my local contacts out there have referred to her as a useless carpetbagger. Yes. Here she is, advertising herself as, oh, look at this, look at how great I am. And, of course, hand out for money and get on the mailing list. Yeah, I don't think we don't need to care about that. So, let's see. I forgot this little detail. Yeah, she's Dick Cheney's daughter, but I think the most damning portion of her entire existence in D.C. is this. Prior to her election to Congress, Liz served as the State Department Deputy Assistant Secretary of State and Principal Deputy Secretary of State for the Middle East. And she also practiced law with White and Case. Don't know about them. And the International Finance Committee. I'm wondering if we know exactly what other three-letter organization that they might be part of. Yada, yada, yada. Why the world needs a powerful America. International Board of Advisors for the University of Wyoming. Yeah, that's lovely. So let's take a look at International Finance Corporation. for the simple joy of finding out more information. Oh, look at that. Look at this. International Finance Corporation, member of the World Bank Group. Yeah, I think we can smell the globalism here. So yes, this is who Liz Cheney has had her ties to in the past. Sustainable development. So, yep, typical fascist greenism. So yes, we'll keep that up for future reference for Miss Piggy. But yeah, does that really shock anybody at all? The great task. 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Well, let's listen into the propaganda because this should be interesting. Yep. All right. And here we go.
As Election Day nears, I want to talk to citizens across our great state and all across our country. America cannot remain free if we abandon the truth. The lie that the 2020 presidential election was stolen is insidious.
I mean, right there, she has lost her campaign. I mean, if I remember correctly, and we'll actually look it up here later, but pretty sure Wyoming went very strongly for Trump, with the exception of probably 2 regions, which would include here around Cheyenne, and then Jackson Hole, which is the rich, hoity-toity part of Wyoming, which actually doesn't have many people from Wyoming there. Go figure.
It preys on those who love their country. It is a door Donald Trump opened to manipulate Americans to abandon their principles, to sacrifice their freedom, to justify violence, to ignore the rulings of our courts and the rule of law.
I mean, if this isn't top-tier Trump derangement syndrome, I'm not sure what is.
This is Donald Trump's legacy, but it cannot be the future of our nation. History has shown us over and over again how these types of poisonous lies destroy free nations. Like many candidates across this country, my opponents in Wyoming have said that the 2020 election was rigged and stolen. No one who understands our nation's laws, no one with an honest, honorable, genuine commitment to our Constitution would say that.
Yeah. So you see why I'd be the one. Yep, most Trump popular state in the country. And yeah, not only did she make a bad tactical decision, she sunk her entire career, which I'm kind of thrilled over. Yeah, considering where she is trending politically, she's definitely a weffer.
It is a cancer that threatens our great republic. If we do not condemn these lies, if we do not hold those responsible to account, we will be excusing this conduct.
Ah, yes, so the summer of love is definitely something that we should keep encouraging because nothing happened poorly there.
And it will become a feature of all elections. America will never be the same.
So this woman is ignorant of history. She's forgetting the 1968 U.S. presidential election where they carried, it was the Yippies, which was a offshoot of one of the Democrat radical organizations back then, they carried a dead pig around outside of the convention hall. So, yeah, this is the kind of thing that has happened time immemorial.
Nothing in our public life is more important than the preservation of the miracle given to us by God and our founding fathers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Liz. When you're invoking all of these things which you clearly have not embraced yourself in the way you govern, nor in the way that you carry yourself.
Nothing. Here's my pledge to you. I will work every day to ensure that our exceptional nation long endures. My children and your children must grow up in an America where we have honorable and peaceful transitions of power, not violent confrontations, intimidation, and thuggery, where we are governed by laws and not by men, where we are led by people who love this.
I mean, there is just something very amusing about that with the rules by laws, not men, and yet we're seeing every day that creep is coming in more and more prevalently with the way this country is being just abused. And it's not one side or the other. Granted, I'd say the Democrats are more liable for ruling by man's whims than the Republicans, but that's only because the Republicans are too cowardly to do so.
Country more than themselves. No matter how long we must fight, this is a battle we will win. Millions of Americans
by removing
across
people
our
like
nation,
you.
Republicans, Democrats, Independents, stand united in the cause of freedom.
Yeah.
We are stronger, more dedicated, and more determined than those trying to destroy our republic. This is our great task.
And whatever she says after this is irrelevant, although I will say the pause on that is just very amusing. Let's see. Oh, yes, I all of these lovely little articles. And I'm just looking at some of these papers. I mean, they're all the urban centers, which I'm granted that's pretty much all you're going to get with large publications out there. But it's mostly Laramie, Cheyenne, and Casper, which are the big urban areas out there, but still. Yep. Yes, UCY be the one. I will say that we definitely have a few scalps to collect today. Let's do a little refresh. And still only 3% for Natrona County. 5%. Oh, and we have, what is this? Sweetwater County. And look at that margin there. 74% with a quarter of the votes counted. That is very interesting. 30%, again, about the same ratio. Lynette Grable falling behind. Excuse me. Need to quickly find the cough button on here, clearly. So, yes. So, let's see what else we can dredge up about old Liz here. Truth, accountability, and the Constitution. What a lovely and vacuous bit of work. Advancing Wyoming energy production. That could let's take a quick dive here. Yeah, all right. Yeah, she's not gone full green globalist, but she's definitely easing closer. Yada, yada, yada. State Mineral Revenue Protection Act. Safeguard, yep. Alright. Nothing terribly exciting here. So we will quickly go back and pick out, let's see. Oh. See, this is the one I find actually possibly the most dangerous, creating opportunities. But let's see what else jumps out. Defending our nation, defending yada, yada, yada. Well, let's take a quick look at boilerplate, just using her position on the Jan 6 committee. Nothing terribly exciting there. But yes, the creating opportunities for Wyoming ranchers and farmers. In light of what we've seen going on in Holland, I would say that this is really one of the more crucial aspects. Let's see. Wyoming's agricultural industry is critical to our economy and way of life. Producing food for our nation needs contributing almost $2 billion annually to the state economy. Putting foods on the tables of American families, they need relief from burdensome federal regulation and out-of-control federal bureaucracy. Yeah, this woman is also like, oh, we need the rule of law, but, oh, well, let's not actually do anything about it. So, we're not going to glean much else interesting, I don't think. Other than, oh no, this is interesting. Wolf Livestock Loss Demonstration Program. Program provides ranchers a small fraction of the value if they lose their livestock by a wolf attack. Well, that, I think, is going to be suddenly relevant to our Scottish friends. Yeah, so that's... it's a very small toss in the bucket. So let's refresh Wyoming again and see what new things we have popping up. All right, so still only 30% for governor for the Republicans and 3% for the Democrats, but they have actual data from Sweetwater County. And, oh, look at that. Sweetwater has at 47%. Hageman has 72.7% of the vote, with Liz Cheney getting a well-deserved 18.2%. So, let's move on to her opposition. So, Harriet Hageman. So she's proclaiming to be deep-rooted Wyomingite, so she's not a carpetbagger, which culturally is very, very, very important. UCY beta 1. One outlet called it about 15 minutes ago, but it's not official yet. Yeah, after the 2000 election, I've been very, very leery of going with early predictions with anything more than 50% of a vote anywhere. And I'm really curious because, yeah, okay, we could look at the population of these areas and kind of determine. It's like Park County, Fremont County, Hot Springs County. A lot of these counties are kind of big empty areas, which is great. But, you get like little spots over here. And yeah, you can't really tell. And so Cheyenne, Laramie, Sweetwater's fairly well populated, as is Unina. But yeah, the rest of them, that's pretty wild. Yeah, exactly. The curve of doom. So let's see. Here we go. Here's one of the things I really liked about Hageman is I like to follow interesting elections. As an attorney, I battled Bill Clinton's attempt to block access to 1/3 of our national forest lands, stopped EPA's efforts to take control of our irrigation and infrastructure and operations, blocked the USDA from forcing livestock producers to use RF ear tags, and register all of our ranches with federal government and more. Interesting. So, it's kind of interesting to me looking at some of the current crop of candidates who are now in their 50s. They cut their teeth back in the 90s with the Clinton years. And it's just a very interesting dynamic for a lot of how I see things going forward. Because right now we're getting a lot of the hippies are finally like dying out and taking their garbage politics with them. And I'd like to see that continue. So let's see. Protecting the Constitution. Hageman, big government politicians in our country have steered dangerously away from the constitutional foundation. Yeah, I mean that's nothing new. It's been going on for 100 years. Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Election integrity. So, yeah, where Liz Cheney made that hard, abrupt, no, we've got to demonize things because, well, she needs all the fortification she can get. Hageman is definitely about at least questioning things from the past, which, I mean, let's be honest. If any time that you don't question any of these things, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. I genuinely, whether it's an election, whether it's just somebody coming up and saying, "Yeah, hey, you owe me money," you should always question. So. Interesting. So, yeah, they're talking about the surveillance state, FISA courts, and all that sort of thing. So, Hageman is definitely in a good, lockstep with her constituency. Well, future constituency. And, let's see. Protecting the unborn, stopping the Biden agenda. Now, here we get into what is really important to people in Wyoming, at least the ones I've met. And disclaimer, I've traveled to 47 of the 50 states and got to integrate with the locals a little bit. It's always fun just bumming around, seeing the sights, and not just being a tourist. So, as Wyomingites, we take pride in our independence. Our ancestors settled this land, created our communities through grit and hard work, only to suffer the consequences of bad public land policies adopted and enforced by bureaucrats in D.C. Yep. U.S. Forest Service has been mismanaging our forest lands for years, resulting in catastrophic fires, horrific insect outbreaks, and fouling of our watersheds, devastating losses to our local communities. Yes, and for those that don't know, water basically west of the Mississippi becomes an increasingly valuable asset. So, say we've hit about 30, which is more than most. Yeah. And let's see. Let's jump back here. And, oh, yep. Hageman is definitely trending towards winning there in Natrona County. Not a super... Oh, and we've just got a new Platte County. Yep, 78-17. That's great. And that's 78% of the votes in that county have been counted. So, we can see where things are trending there. Let's see. Yep. Fact is that bad land management decisions destroy our environment, and in a state like Wyoming, where almost 50% of the surface real estate is owned by the federal government. Yep. And this is one of those, the more consolidation every state gets with federal lands, the worse this thing gets. Let's see. Yeah. Pro-energy, no surprise there. And if she said something along the lines of repeal the NFA 1934, I would be much more excited. So, there we go. That's... And let's see if there's any press releases. Ah, yes. So, Hageman's been endorsed by Ted Cruz. Definitely endorsed by Trump. So, again, nothing really new, but we'll possibly jump back here. Yep. I mean, the fact that she's putting on her endorsements of Trump, Senator Paul... I don't really care about the House leader, Kevin McCarthy, Senator Ted Cruz, and I'm not sure who Elise Stefanik is off the top of my head, but I think she's like a conference chair for the GOP. But, yeah, so we'll see if she's got any little speechifying. Yeah, you can see where she's been going around doing the Republican talking head circuits. And I will say the fact that she has, with the Newsmax report, the fact that she is unabashedly a hunter and probably comes from a long line of hunters, you can tell what her values are. That's definitely a Wyoming thing. But let's jump back, hit the real refresh, and see what's going on. So we have 76 for Platte County, and we just saw Platte County go for the Democrats for, I believe, Teresa Livingston. Okay. So, and again, the one we really care about, Hageman has taken Platte. We've already covered that, but she's got Natrona County up more and Converse County, where she has 83 with 10%. So, nice bit of change. 16%, 18, 4. So, no big shifts in anything. Ow. Screw off advertising. So we'll move on a little bit to Alaska. which we're not really going to see much coming out of it tonight. Well, I've got the time to be here, and everybody else too, I'm presuming. But so Alaska's primary is a different system. It's the ranked choice primaries. And for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically they take the top 4 in any election, and then they go on to the general, and then the public gets to choose from that. Which I'm not sure. I'm more of a winner take all fan, but that's just me. So, let's see. Senate and governor's races. And so nothing is in, but then they've got another. Oh gosh. Maybe 3 hours before some of the early polls close, which would be. Yeah. The Juneau area is going to close much sooner than, say, Nome or Teeter, some of those places. But at least we can look at the long list of candidates. So Murkowski, I would really like to see her gone. She's been in there far too long. Tishbaka, Chesborough, Stevens, Scheisse, Hill, Nolan, Taylor, Thorne. So, Lib. I'm not. I guess Hill is no party. UDL, I am not familiar with. So, yeah, there's a big long list of candidates, and the same with the House. And yep, you have Sarah Palin running there. You have Harry Patola, which I'm not sure of some of these people, to be perfectly honest. But and then yeah, so we'll get back into that. I haven't focused a lot on Alaska because I knew they wouldn't be covering a whole heck of a lot. And Hawaii's primary is supposed to be tomorrow as well, if I remember correctly. So, but we will jump back and see what the latest updates are, if any. So, nothing new there. Yeah, you see why I'd be the one. I would presume that of Palin as well. She's still popular up there despite the smears of the past few years of Tina Fey and that just boring SNL stuff. So let's take a look at. See what CNN is blathering on about. Yes. Poor Dick, he's being drug out of retirement because of his daughter. That's no shock there, sadly. So, yep, there's a nearly 2 hour ago picture of people voting there in Cheyenne. So, yeah, you can see here, because I don't really want to give CNN too much. But yeah, only the county around Cheyenne and Jackson. So, oh, you can't see my cursor. Never mind. Yeah. So, but yeah, only two areas, and both of them are heavily occupied, shall we say, from people who are from out of state, from or originally. Oh, this is interesting. Longtime television producer advising Jan 6th committee is present at Cheney's event in Wyoming. And of course it's in Jackson. Of course. I'm yeah, I do hope that Palin comes back, just hell bent for vengeance, just run roughshod over those that have wronged her in all of this. And so let's see. Veteran television producer Jeff Goldston spent the last several months advising the House Select Committee on January 6th. That's interesting that a TV producer is involved with the January 6th committee stuff. I mean, possibly get your tinfoil wrapped on a little tighter, lads. Let's see. Former president of ABC News was surveying the scene at Cheney's campaign event at a cattle ranch outside Jackson. He and a small film crew were taking in the picturesque landscape of the Grand Tetons. In the distance, in the Wyoming prairie bathed in evening sunlight, which, it is actually remarkable to see. Later today. Let's see. You see why be the one. I remember 10 years ago when they were talking about how bad her kids were. I bet they'd stay clear about that topic today. Yeah, having a child out of wedlock versus doing lines of coke off of a hooker's butt, and that's a little bit different. Little bit different. So, and I'm a big fan of the graphic styles that are being used here, which is why I've picked them. But you've got, let's see, Gordon, 76% of the votes are counted, 94. So Gordon and Brett Bine, I don't know any of them other than one's an incumbent. So, and nothing new called for there. So let's go back. Let's see. Here's what we've all known, but I just feel like it was worth pointing out. As the vice chair of the committee, Cheney worked closely with Goldston's team in presenting findings in a TV-ready fashion to a national audience. They've worked together to edit hours and hours of recordings, have brought to life the revolution or counter-revolution, whatever you want to call it, as it unfolded. Yeah, so the fact that they're openly saying this, like that Time article, is mind-blowingly entertaining. She invited him to as a friend. It has nothing to do with committee work. Jeremy Adler, a spokesperson for Cheney, told CNN. Yeah, that just... Does anybody else smell corruption? Let's see. What the scene is like at the Cheney and Hageman campaign events as results start to come in. So, notice they're talking about Hageman's supporters, and they're going after, it's like, here's the songs, and oh look, it's, you know, it's almost like they're trying to portray, Hageman as, down home and whatnot, and Cheney is a woman of the earth, but they're just very erudite. And I just I just really enjoy kind of the degeneracy, the unintended degeneracy of these articles. So, again, nothing of terrible importance here. At least nothing new. So, I decided to go pull up a recent primary election survey that was done by University of Wyoming. And just kind of wanted, haven't read through all of it, but kind of like, let's see who they're looking at. So we've got the demographics, and let's see. These are likely voters in the GOP primary. So we've got most of the ages kind of weighted towards middle age, pretty much. Mid-30s to early 60s being a large bulk. And then you've got your outliers in the retiree communities. So roughly parity between men and women. I just, we don't need to go into how the counties are weighted, because if you look at the demographics, I think you can figure that out on your own. Kind of smart chat here, so. And yes, so we're looking at the survey results, which I think are the more important parts here. So how interested are respondents in the Wyoming primary? So you have statewide, extremely interested, 20%, very interested, 42%, somewhat interested, 21%. So an overwhelming majority are interested in the outcome of this election. And then, only 15% not very interested. Given the recent turn of events, we're not overly shocked. Let's see, how often have you voted in the past? Statewide, 44%, usually 17, sometimes 9, rarely 6.8, and never 21.7. So, yes, and not just the livestock. Yep, they are definitely sheep. So, this is very, very telling, I think, which statement best describes you, where you have 20%, unless an emergency comes up, I will vote in the 2020 Wyoming primary. And I will definitely is 48%. This is statewide. This is Republicans and Democrats. And look at how heavy the Republicans are in this. It's very interesting to see a state mobilized on this scale. So, and another good indicator about, will you vote in a primary election day and will you vote early? Only 21% will vote early in both statewide and GOP primary. So, I think that's actually a very good thing. Will you vote in person at a polling place or by mail? Let's just round up to 63% at a designated polling place, 35% vote by mail, which not happy to hear that, but let's see. Okay, so which candidate do you plan on voting for? And this, I think, is wonderfully illustrative. And hopefully that's a little better for everyone to see that there's actually some real data here, and I'm not just talking about thin air. Liz Cheney, for GOP voters, 27.8%. For Republicans, 15%. Democrats, 97.8%. And independents, 43.2%. Hageman, 57% of likely primary voters, 68% of Republicans, 2.2% of Democrats, and 40.7% of independents. And I don't know what more you need to know. And then you get this, 11% of independents and Republicans who haven't made a public declaration. So it's, let's see, opposed Cheney. So, it's kind of you can see where 40% roughly of Republicans are going to be trying to vote for the GOP candidate over a Democrat regardless. But it's like, if Liz Cheney is selected, Republicans are going to hold their nose and vote for the old crone. So let's see if there's any new updates here. Nothing. About 30%, 29% up in Park County and Sheridan County. So there. Nothing from Teton, nothing from Fremont. So there's a part of me that wonders if there's going to be an attempt to wait for the last minute, but with the Teton and Laramie counties showing up late in the results. Just, because reasons. So, CNN is projecting that Trump endorsed Harriet Hageman defeats Liz Cheney in Wyoming's House race. That's. I'm not going to believe anything until I see it. Like we've been talking. Exactly, maximum honk. So, and things we can't talk about because of Susan. Let's see. 45% say that thing of which we cannot speak was legitimate or not legitimate. So 45% legit, 39% illegit, 11 don't know, and almost 4% wouldn't answer. And again, that thing of which we cannot speak. From the results of the Summer of Love, and whether there was solid evidence, 43.4 yes, 43.0 no solid evidence, 11% don't know, 2.5 refused to answer. And that's really telling. I think if it had just simply been addressed and let people get their frustrations out, regardless of outcome, I think that would have calmed a lot of tensions. But this isn't about tension going down. This is about raising the temperature. Let's see. Accurately counted, very confident versus somewhat confident. So, yeah, there's most people are willing to trust the system. Right? Which we'll see. My normalcy bias says yes, let's aim for trusting the system for now, because otherwise it gets into goofy territory. You see why I be the one. 40%, even according to their poll, is still a lot of people. Yeah. Oh yeah. And again, you're looking at the heavy population areas, and so 53% in Cheyenne and 53.5 for Hageman. Yep. So I'm not going to be overly shocked with this outcome. I mean, I don't think anybody would be. But yeah, I think it's important to kind of start the coverage of this. Yeah. But again, we want solid answers, not just predictions. So yeah, because they're only here. It's only showing 19% of the vote in total, and yeah, that's why looking at multiple sources. Yeah, I'm here in the Washington Post. 21% have been counted, so you still have these big potential holes. Like Sublet, Lincoln. Yeah, there's Carbon. But yeah, I don't know. We shall see. And most people are paying just lip service to the January 6th Reichstag fire. And so again, statewide, 47.2% are saying the January 6th committee is not conducting a fair and impartial investigation. Interesting. So, and just kind of a breakdown. Oh, hey, Podge O'Garin. Welcome. How you doing? Welcome to a little bit of the honkening. So just kind of a general breakdown. Republicans statewide, 47.4%. Democrat, 12.1%. Independent, 29.8%. And all the rest of the mixed bag is about 10%. So I think it's telling you've got 8.2 of the primary voters that identify as Democrats. So this is like the old Operation Chaos in the 2008 primaries for the Democrats. So, and let's see. political point of view, statewide, liberal or progressive, my interpretation. 10.3, very concentrated in small areas. Moderate, everywhere else. Conservative, don't know, not sure. Who knows? And let's see. I think... So, yeah, I think this is something important to point out, because those in Washington are going to paint people in Wyoming as rubes and whatnot, but those that answered the survey, let's see, last grade, so grade school, 0.2%, some high school, 1.8%, high school graduate, 21%, some college, 34.5%, bachelor's degree, 24.5%, graduate or professional degree, 17%. So you have a bit of a breakdown that they're not dumb people out there. And yep, UCY be the one. Yes, Operation Chaos was a big Rush Limbaugh thing. I remember listening to it live, going to and from work quite a bit. It was actually quite brilliant. And that concludes the primary election survey. And let's see what we have new here. So 23%. Again, nothing new. And let's see if there's anything showing up in the Alaska primaries. Nope, because they are probably still quite a ways out from closing the polls. So I thought, just for grins, so Washington Post has put together a 2020 guide to the midterms. Now, I'm not going to go into all the little details and ins and outs, but just kind of a broad strokes of what they're peddling. Again, because I decided to look at their website for a lot of current information. So, they talk about approval ratings, yada, yada, yada. Old turtleneck himself coming back into power, sweeping in. Nanny Goo Goo, yep, don't care. So, if anyone is so inclined, I would encourage you to go look at this directly. But I think what's worth pointing out, of the two authors of this, so Dan Balls, he has been very politically active, typically from the left. Surprise, surprise. But this Mariana Sotomayor, who I don't believe is a relation to Justice Sotomayor, the wise Latina, as Obama said. Let's see. You see why I'd be the one. I agree, actually. Time had passed him by to some extent, but he was aware of the bullshit that was going on. Yeah. Now, is that in regard to Limbaugh? Yeah, I will say the one thing I always admired about the man was he tried to keep up with kind of a pulse on the younger generation. Surprisingly, he was a big tech guy. Spent a lot of time delving into that sort of realm. Yep. And Mitch Turtle Power McConnell. Yeah, no, McConnell has zero self-awareness. So, Sotomayor, let's see, reports on Democrat and Republican leadership, covers ideological and cultural, personality tensions, yada, yada, yada. Before joining the Post in 2021, Sotomayor spent 5 years at NBC, where she covered Congress and Biden's presidential campaign, professional affiliations, the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. So she's not biased at all. Not at all. No, and this will be relevant tomorrow with Hawaii, but actually, there is some information. Excellent. So, in the Democrat gubernatorial, so we've got this Josh Green fellow who has apparently won. And Duke Iona, he's won the Republican primary, although I will say, given the state's typical leanings, not really going to be much of a big campaign. And let's see. Oh, Jay Penn comes in second there. So U.S. Senate. So there was a challenger in the Republicans. So it looks like Bob McDermott has won there. And, Democrat primary, the incumbent won with a massive landslide, as we kind of expect. And all the districts, all 2 of them. And, incumbent won again. And, it would be nice if Tulsi Gabbard were to sneak out of the woodwork and get back in there. So, while she's got a bit of the haircut, Hageman is definitely the better choice. And 33% with a 58 to 37, that's a pretty sizable blowout. So, here we go. We've got more reporting in. So 26% for the GOP gubernatorials. And with only 15%, but with that margin, I'm not shocked, because those are pretty much all the Democrat-run areas. Yep. You can see where a lot of that's heavily leaning. So, I'm going to see if there is a concession speech anywhere. Nothing yet. So, our work is far from over. Cheney remembers words from a Gold Star father that guided her work. So I don't know if everyone here is familiar with the bloody shirt, but that was a Reconstruction era, and I know I've talked about this before. Reconstruction era tactic of bringing up the Civil War in politics and basically the imagery, I believe it was in a political cartoon of the time, was it General Butler, who was then in the House? The image was him waving a blood-stained shirt in order to make his point. So here's old Miss Piggy waving a bloody shirt. After being projected to lose her primary bid for re-election in Wyoming, GOP, RINO is more like it, Liz Cheney said that a message received from a Gold Star father more than a year ago guided her actions. He said to me, "Standing up for truth honors those who gave all," and thought of his words every single day since then. Cheney said in remarks from Jackson, Wyoming, "I thought of them because they're a reminder of how we must all conduct ourselves. We must conduct ourselves in a way that is worthy of the men and women who wear the uniform of this nation, and in particular, those who gave the ultimate sacrifice," she added. Cheney said, "This is not a game," adding, "Every one of us must be committed to defending America." Boo-hoo. She also thanked her staff and says, "Our work is far from over. At the heart of our democratic process are elections and the foundational principles of our Constitution," she said. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Anybody buying that? I'm guessing no, but that's just a guess. Oh, good Lord have mercy. All right, I'm coming back to that in a second. I've got to click somewhere anywhere else. All right, so let's take a look at some other websites here. So, yeah, recently updated, but again, they're calling for Hageman, but I am not wanting to jump on things too terribly early. I'll probably go until there's maybe 30 to 50% of the vote in. Granted, I'm probably not bringing in a lot of great information that and analysis just yet, but it's kind of hard when there's only two primary elections, and one of them is not going to be closing for another couple hours. Yep. Ah, yes. Here's my midnight observation. All right. So let's go back to take a look at Politico. So they're getting into all of the other state primaries. It looks like they're calling for the GOP primary, Mark Gordon. And with those margins, yeah, it's not hard to see that that's going to definitely be trending his way, even in some of the lesser populated counties like Sheridan and Bighorn and places like that. So, Secretary of State. That's more of a toss-up. That's good to see that that's a... Let's see. And we don't have... Here we go. So, yeah, 59.6% for Hageman, Cheney, 36. So, you know, UCY be the one. I do need a breaking news soundtrack. I really do. Not sure where I'm going to get it, but I'll probably start trolling through because I kind of want to polish this up more for November, for the big November thing. So if you guys here in chat have some recommendations of things to kind of rattle on about a little more clearly, or kind of things that you guys would like to see that most news organizations don't because they're following a formula, just feel free to mention it here in chat comments, or just find me on one of the Discord servers like the Sultans and whatnot. I mean, I was actually looking at some old news coverage and the music there, so that's not a bad idea. Actually, I've even been going back to like some of the really old like UPI and Associated Press stuff from like the 1930s and 40s, simply because I mean I think it's all out of copyright and just garbage. So it looks like we have a concession speech from Cheney. And I really would like to see if I can find this being played somewhere. So, okay, yep. I'm going to put this on the pause screen for a second and do a little research here. I shall return in a few. Yeah, there you go. 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 Yeah, there's still learning everything. And I don't have an Australian to herd me along like cats. So, one thing I found, this is in Politico, and this was published August 11th, about this possibly being her concession speech. And it's kind of amusing that they're going back through and trying to editorialize what they think she should actually say. And I think it's rather entertaining. Actually, it's extremely entertaining that they released this 5 days before she actually had to face a primary challenge. So, just a recap here. We have primaries, so they're pretty much calling it for Hageman at this point, with 43.8% of the vote counted. So that's good. And we'll take a look at the map. Always like to refresh. So for the Republican primary for the governor, 41% has been counted, and they're calling it for Mark Gordon. Democrat, they're calling it at 20% for Teresa Livingston. And let's see, yep, this is the House, calling it at 43% for Hageman. And she has 63% of the vote versus Cheney's 32.2, but no, Valiant Thor. Yes, this kind of is the retirement party for Miss Piggy. And I will say this is what I was talking about earlier here. So I was talking about, kind of the divide in Wyoming. And look at that difference. So the Teton County is primarily the heavy Democrat, influx area. And she gets 80.9% of the vote there. But the rest of the state, 71, 72, 78, 56. And this is, again, a fairly left-leaning area. So, let's see. You see why I beat a 1. She's retarded even for running. I would have just bowed out rather than get defeated by my own party. Yeah, I would, you would think, but the hubris is so strong that I don't think she would have been able to go back. Without trying to make some sort of grand statement. And, yep. So, let's see. Valiant Thor. Somewhere there's a tree that's tirelessly producing oxygen for Joe Biden. And yeah, well, I mean, the rest of the planet really needs to make that apology. So, let's see. What other things can we dig up? So, yeah, Fremont County. Yeah, Cheney is, thinking this is kind of a 2004, 2006 era kind of mentality with the way things are running, where, and this has been my point for, quite a while. The Republicans keep acting like they can go out and say, hey, yep, you won this time, we'll get you next time, shucks darn, we're all on the same team. And the progressives haven't been playing on the same team since 1968. Just my opinion, but I'm planning on producing a bit of a video about that here in the future. So, let's see. Let's see if we can find a Liz Cheney concession speech. Not so far. It's the one that's published, but I'd like to actually get her real words. So, and let's see. Looking back on Politico. Again, nothing new here. Is anybody shocked, really? And let's see. And just for another bit of news, so this is Ballotpedia, and not really seeing anything showing up here that's new. So if you really want to go through and see what people look like, we can do that, but I don't think that's necessary. So, Valiant Thor, my foam pillow has more memory than Joe Biden. I think a old early computer has more memory than Joe Biden ever did. And yeah. So nothing new here, although she's talking about the threats of various things. It's like, yeah, okay. Nothing new here. Nothing worth really covering. So, yep. And Valiant Thor, Sleepy Joe is like that grandfather who peacefully passes away, slobbering in his sleep, but the passengers in his car are yelling and screaming. Yeah. Yep. Oh, well. Having fun at Atlanta then. Very nice. Well, I haven't seen you pop in these streams before. Curious where you found me. And let's see. So, I mean, it can't be that hard to roast Sleepy Joe, their Valiant Thor. It's kind of like taking a marshmallow and putting it on a stick. It's just made for it. So, let's see. This is just too entertaining. Oh, well. Excellent, Valiant Thor. Yeah, feel free to check out some of the other things that I've posted. This is kind of a political rambling and a little bit memey because why the heck not? So, yep. You have a blessed night as well. Take care. Thanks for dropping in. So, yep, Liz Cheney, let's see. Now, talking about now the real work begins. Tonight, Hageman has received the most votes in this primary. She won. I called her to concede the race, she said from a speech in Jackson, Wyoming. Appreciate the like and subscription there, Valiant Thor. Cheney drew comparisons to Abraham Lincoln, who lost congressional elections before he won the most important election of all, the presidency. I mean, she's comparing herself to Abraham Lincoln. Oh, this is just painful. Lincoln ultimately prevailed. He saved our Union, and he defined our obligation as Americans for all of history, Cheney said, adding that today is critical to bend the arc of history to preserve our freedoms and protect the Constitution. She also added that democracy relies on the goodwill of candidates of office to accept honorable outcome elections. Well, that's singing a different tune now, isn't it? But yes, so I'll probably go for another 5 minutes or so, chat. So, unless you guys want to go a little bit longer, but I think we've gotten over the hump here with our election number threshold. Cheney on Trump. Our nation must not be ruled by a mob provoked over social media. So where the hell was she during all of 2020? That's a genuine question because I cannot remember what this woman was doing. Republican lame duck Liz Cheney called out former President Donald Trump and his actions during her concession speech, stating the duty of citizens to defend the freedom that has been handed down to us. Cheney referenced recent actions of Trump, including spreading false statements about the lawful search of the FBI at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. Yeah. Well, I mean, have I spouted on about Civil War? You see why I be the one? I haven't yet. Let's see. Cheney referenced actions of Trump, yada, yada, yada. Today, our federal law enforcement is being threatened. A federal judge is being threatened. Fresh threats. Well, that was unexpected. Fresh threats of violence are rising everywhere. Despite knowing all of this, Donald Trump recently released the names of FBI agents involved in the search, and that was purposeful and malicious. Yeah, no patriotic American should excuse these threats or be intimidated by them, Cheney said. Our great nation must not be ruled by a mob provoked over social media. So she completely ignored all of the protesters outside of Supreme Court judges and the threats of violence. So she's talking about federal law enforcement being threatened. So she completely ignored Portland. She completely ignored Seattle. She's just got blinders on worse than any draft horse. I mean, it's almost a full blindfold at this stage. And yet she has the gall to compare herself to Abraham Lincoln. I really, really want that to be picked up and run into the ground. That Lincoln comparison. Yep, okay, nothing new with that other than Livingston is being projected. And, yep, so taking a quick tour around the rest of the state. I mean, you see why I mean, I don't know if I would insult draft horses. I mean, at least they have some, fitness to them. They don't look like Sarah Jessica Parker completely. So, there's that. So, let's see. Let's go back to Hageman's website and see if there's a victory speech. There is, but there's no video of it. And that's a lot of stuff to read. So, yes, extremely muscular UCY beta 1. And let's see. No. You would think that they would have this live streamed onto their own website. So, yep. So we've got more, almost 50% now in for the GOP, which was my initial threshold, and I didn't think it was going to come up quite so quickly. That's a good thing. And, yep. So, just look a quick dash around. Actually, I want to use not Politico, clearly. All right. At least they're consistent here at the Washington Post. So, 71% unknown, 70. Bighorn County is probably good. Well, you see why I mean one. That's the current plan, that the Sultans shall return this week with a vengeance. And if not, I will probably be starting a half hour later than they do and do a filler show. But definitely should be a Sultans this week. And I'll continue to try to mispronounce your name at that point. So, I think this is probably a good place to wrap up because I don't think it can get any more comical. Oh, I take that back. It looks like there's nothing of use here. So, no. Bez was under the weather, I think, with the monkeypox, or he picked up some chlamydia from the drop bears. But yeah, I spoke with him last night. He sounds in good spirits again, so sounds like he's kind of finally been able to beat most of what he's been dealing with the creeping crud. And tomorrow we are supposed to be streaming on his Twitch channel, which is Bezic1000. And if I was a better host, I would have probably already put that in chat. And he, Trim, and myself will be playing more War in the North. And hopefully that will go swimmingly. But and I will put that link here in chat. And yep. And then also Thursday, well, I mean, yeah, drop bears are extremely tight. You gotta lube them up, but yeah, they self-generate that, unfortunately. And we shall, I believe, on Thursday, do some streaming with Discordia as well. But we'll see what happens with all of that. Everybody's up in arms about everything. And I think that's probably a good place to wrap it. So, a big congratulations to Harriet Hageman for 63.4% of the vote, with 52 being reported. And, I mean, hey, if you're into the claw marks, man, I'm saying more power to you. Just bring a little eucalyptus for later, and I think you'll be good to go. So, but yeah, if this is something you guys would like to see for November, again, let me know. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next time. And on that note, I have to say, Bleach out.
Here you go. There 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 you go.